Hello, class EDU 420. My name is Sharissa Miller, and I will be presenting my curriculum consideration gallery walk. For the first slide of my presentation, it features a picture of a statue of a Dena'ina matriarch. Her name was Grandma Olga Ezzy. She's part of a cultural installation at the Ship Creek small boat launch near downtown Anchorage. And the bronze likeness is the work of a Dena'ina Athabascan artist, Joel Isaac. So to begin, the first portion of situating myself, the community that I'm going to be discussing is Wasilla, Alaska, where I currently live. And I've only lived here for a year, so I'm relatively new. The community indigenous place name was Bente among the lakes. The tribe is the Dena'ina. The indigenous language is the Dena'ina Quinaga Athabascan language. There are 4 dialects that I'll present later on in the presentation. The school district is the Matanuska-Susitna School District, and the class that I would theoretically be teaching would be at Mokatons Elementary, 1st grade. And the Alaska Native Corporation is the Cook Inlet region, also known as CIRI. And you can look here on this map. The Cook Inlet includes the Kenai Peninsula, Wasilla. It's this green, the lower green area. So the second portion that I wanted to present was the local indigenous language. And the Dena'ina is the traditional language of the Cook Inlet and the Kenai Peninsula and up to Lake Iliamna. About 50 people speak Dena'ina as a first language. You can take classes at KPC or UAA, and Dena'ina is a polysynthetic language, meaning a whole sentence can be expressed with just one word. For example, the single word Nantigele, it means I will see you again. And I found example recordings, and I have a video down here for examples of the language that I could play in my classroom. And there's a great resource out there that I'm sure a lot of people saw for their language portion of the assignment, but the Dena'ina Quinaga, part of the Alaska Native Language website, it was a great resource that has little links that you can look at, that they present different sayings, and they had links to different videos. So that would be a great resource that I could present in my classroom just as an example of the language so that the children could hear it, they could see somebody saying it. Let's see, other ways that I could present the language in my classroom is I could either find or make like a simple children's book, because it would be for 1st grade. That would be similar to like an ABC book that would have a picture of an apple, would have the English name and the Dena'ina name of the apple. That's one way to do it. I could have visual aid posters in my classroom that would name the item on the page in both English and Dena'ina. Each week on our spelling test, I could have a Dena'ina word. And when I invite community members or elders into our classroom, I could specifically ask them to identify or say the Dena'ina name of things that we're talking about or objects in the classroom, things like that. So pretty much just the main part of it would just be bringing it into the classroom, saying it, allowing the children to hear it. Also have them try to maybe even say some things or memorize some things. And so as I said, so the local language for Wasilla was the Dena'ina Quinaga Athabascan language. There's 4 dialects, and you can read here the communities and areas that were part of each dialect. Unfortunately, I did not find example of each dialect online, but we can look at, if you would like to click on this link, you can listen to 2 individuals say phrases.
Anina lana tina. Enjoy tina ina rela.
And this slide, it gives me another map to show you. We're looking at a pink area that includes the Kenai Peninsula, Wasilla, the Dena'ina region. And there's this phrase here, I taught my children Dena'ina. I'm not going to attempt to say it, but you can read it here. The third module that I wanted to present to you was the seasonal traditional activity I chose to research, and that was snowshoeing, because it was a winter traditional activity for Athabascan natives. And I would be presenting it to a first grade classroom. There's some pictures here of snowshoeing activity, also making your own snowshoe, which would be a fun hands-on art project. There's a picture here of different types of snowshoeing, which would be part of like our history lesson for learning about snowshoeing. But I just wanted to include learning about the history of snowshoeing and how local native Athabascans use snowshoes during the winter time. This would require reviewing the Alaska style snowshoes, and I would use much of the information from my Alaska History Social Studies content from Ashamak Snowshoes by David Gold. And in the classroom, our conversation would be anchored in the learning concepts of science. We would talk about pressure and force, like what makes snowshoes float on snow, and animal adaptation. How do animals travel with ease on snow? There would be a math component also. It can be a little complicated with multiplication and division, but I'd have to bring it down to a first grade level, but maybe just doing measurements and talking about surface area and ratio. Social studies and history would include the indigenous knowledge portion of it. Where did snowshoes come from? History of snowshoes. When were they first used? How did they make them? What did they use them for? For creativity, we could design snowshoe. We could keep track of information in a nature journal. Part of that would include our ELA, our reading and writing standard. We could also do some STEM and engineering. We could do a field trip, and we could even just do it at the school where we practice snowshoeing, depending on how many community volunteers or parent volunteers I could have be there, and the ability to acquire snowshoes for the children to wear or practice or try on. REI in Anchorage even offers like a snowshoeing class, and so that could be something that I could coordinate to take the kids in, and they could see it and learn about it too. And for an art project, we could design our own snowshoe. So to kind of just wrap that up, the Alaska culture standards that I would touch on would be A, B, D, and E. And the Alaska content standards would include the English language, art standard, mathematics, science, history. I would even put cultural in there for the indigenous part. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation, Chinan. I look forward to seeing some of your presentations. Bye.